Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Life After Grief. We are on tonight with our panelists, Minister. Everyone, welcome to Life. I guess we might need to let it catch up a little bit. But we would like to welcome our panelists on tonight, Sister Rosa James, Minister Rosa James, I apologize for that, and Minister Corrine Simpkins. And tonight we are coming on the air speaking on a hard topic. A lot of time people do not like to discuss grief and what they are going through. And sometimes that is a difficult topic to even speak on and knowing how to express yourself. So we just want to share tonight some of the challenges that we had faced in our lifetime and hope that what we share tonight would be able to help someone out there who are looking and listening to us this evening. So we would like to have the viewers out there to submit comments or questions. However, we may not get to all of them on this evening, but we will make every effort to answer your questions or any concerns that you may have. And we're going to visit some of the topics, and I'm going to invite my sisters in. We're going to pick up from our last segment. In our last segment, we had one of the questions was understanding our plight. That is a difficult topic to even speak on. In our last segment, we had one of the questions was understanding. I don't know what's happening, but excuse the feedback. But our topic is understanding our plight and how it can help us to realize what strategy is necessary for coping and not isolating ourselves from others or making others grieving difficult. Well, one of your sisters like to open up on that? Have you isolating ourselves from others or making others grieving difficult? Like to
okay, you said how grieving can be difficult for others. It's a lot of feedback. I'm sorry.
Maybe let's mute. That may be our problem. Could y'all mute y'all mics and just open when you get ready to speak? That's probably some of our feedback. Okay, well, one of y'all like to elaborate on the question that I asked?
Okay, could you ask it again because of the feedback, please?
Okay, understanding our plight and how it can help us to realize what strategy is necessary for coping and not isolating ourselves from others or making other grieving process difficult.
Sandra, really a good question, but I have to say there really aren't any strategies that you can really put into play. It's going to come as you go through that process. I think last week I mentioned some things that I used to tell people that our counselor that's going through grief, some things they could try doing. But if we're looking at specific things that we can follow, specific guidelines, we aren't going to find any. Because like we constantly say, everybody grief is so much different than the other person. And I think last session, I think I mentioned 7. I said, ask that no one, don't alienate yourself from others. Find someone that is willing to listen to. Talk about it, cry about it, what it may take you to do that. And don't be too strong for your own good. Don't push yourself when you're tired. Don't expect to feel just one emotion. There's going to be a lot of emotions coming after you. And we keep trying to plan, say, everybody talk about, I cry all the time, or I'm in shock, or I'm in disbelief. So we focus on those things and trying to block them from happening. But that may not be what's going to be coming your way. It could just be sadness. You know, it could be guilt. So it's sort of hard to prepare yourself in a way with strategies to fight against the grief. The grief is going to come to you no matter what you do. It's going to come. The easiest way to deal with it, I think, is just deal with it. Right. You're going to cry. Don't try to hide it or force it away from you, because it's not going to go away. Just deal with what you're feeling. And that way you go through it easier and much faster. And don't blame yourself. You know, we always want to, my fault, I should have been there. I could have done. What could you have done? When it's their time, it's their time. And not too much we can do other than try to be prepared in some way so it won't hurt quite as bad. But regardless, it's going to hurt. And I know we joked about it also. We added an eighth one. Don't make getting a meal become high priority when we go visit someone. But all of these things are things that we can set up and try to do when our time comes for grieving. And out of what we do, something's going to help. Something is going to help. I hope that helps somewhat.
Yes.
Yeah, I believe I'm agree with that too. And I don't want to go through all of them again, because all of them are very important. One of the ones that stood out to me that Minister Rosa was calling out is to when someone is going through something, you get with someone who is going through it, or somebody who understands as well. Everybody doesn't understand. It could be a friend. They don't understand. They've never been through it. If you have to get counseling or get help, I mean, you get help. And I agree with not suppressing it. Sometimes it's, for me, it's a little bit hard to express the grieving process. And sometimes it's like I prefer to keep it to myself, which may not be a good thing. But I do suggest, and I do would support a support group as well. Because some people, if you can't find any friends or family members, or don't know any that's been through it, then maybe a support group would help as well. Some people don't like sharing with everybody, but it is a segment where there are people in that particular segment that have had like experiences, and they may be able to help just by maybe not you sharing at first, but maybe they share as well. I kind of like that. You get with someone who has been through that, the grieving process, or is going through the grieving process.
Right.
Yeah, it's sort of sad, but we don't even give ourselves permission to grieve. Sometimes I think we actually think it's wrong to grieve and deal with the things we feel internally in our emotions. So we just need to give ourselves some grace by giving ourselves permission to grieve. Because sometimes when you look around you, I can remember when my father passed away, my mother didn't cry really. She said, I need to be strong. I need to be strong for everybody else. And I'm thinking, what about you? Aren't you hurting? Don't you want to cry? So we have this tendency to put on an outside appearance, think we're protecting others when we aren't really, and we're definitely hurting ourselves because we haven't given ourselves permission to grieve. And it's okay to grieve. It's okay to cry. It's okay to do all those things that you're feeling bottled up inside, you're trying to keep from coming out. It's okay to do those things. Through all those things we do is a healing process for us. And it will also help someone else heal. Because they be watching you, what you're doing. Oh, mama not crying, so I'm not going to cry either. So and now they all boil down with that suppressed emotions and feeling that they have and what they're trying to keep because mama is not crying. So they go away someplace else and they hurting, not knowing how to release the emotion that they're feeling. So just give ourselves some grace. Just give ourselves permission to grieve. And it's okay. It's okay.
And a lot of time we miss the point of the processing of the grief. A lot of time you have the feeling of secluding yourself. And I think a lot of people, when they do that, it open up negative avenues for them to indulge in other stuff to relieve the pain and not properly relieve the pain. You know, when we don't really take the time, we have to take that time for ourselves. Because if we don't take that time for ourselves and be honest with ourselves, we can really open up doors to avenues that we don't want to go through. And a lot of time people will find themselves self-medicating because they don't want to deal with the grief and the process of going through it. So, you know, we have to come to a point, and I'm glad that we are having this subject, because that helped people to realize that really we're going to have difficulties, but we got to be honest with ourselves, and we got to be able to pinpoint our difficulties. And when you be honest about it, then you can start working on it. And that's where it ties back in, reflecting back on yourself to really help get yourself strong to move forward. And, you know, we have to go again. I call it against the grain, because our flesh going to try to tell us that we don't want to. Our flesh will make us feel like we can't do it. We don't want to do it. But that's something that we gotta do. And like we have discussed in the past, you know, grief is a process. So we have to process through it, or we'll forever be stuck in that one place.
Yeah, so true. It's sad that sometimes people think because I feel angry because they died, that is not an emotion that we should release, but it is. It's okay to be angry. Sometimes we angry at ourselves, we're angry at the person that died, we're even angry at God at times. But that's a natural reaction to that loss that you're experiencing, and it's okay to feel that way. So just let it go. Don't try to hold it back. Just do what you feel. I know that's sort of some people may say that, oh, I can't do what I feel. Yes, you can, as long as you're not going to kill anyone. I know you aren't feeling that way. You may be feeling sad and mad and denial and despair and angry and all those type of emotions. And it's okay to feel that way. And you just want to cry, like let a bucket of tears out. Those emotions are okay. And I'm going to say even okay to not want to cry, or to not be able to cry. Because some people, we talk about crying, but some people actually cannot cry.
Right.
Their emotions are so strong and they're so sad, the tears just won't flow out. And they wonder now, what's wrong with me? I can't cry because my mama gone. That's okay. The time will come when you'll be able to let those tears out. But if they're trying to come out, don't block them. Don't stop them. Let them come when they're trying to come out. And we all will be in a much better place if we just allow those emotions that we feel within us to just come on out. And our pain that we feel will get lighter, because that pain is also interlocked with some of those emotions we feeling, that anger and all that despair we feeling. So we have to learn how to just let those emotions come forth and be released. Right. What's wrong with them? I sometimes think, just be kind to yourself.
We have to.
When we're going through, just be kind to yourself. You know, release what you're trying to stop from coming out. Everybody been there. Everybody want to tell you don't cry. No, I go so far sometimes. It's sad when we as Christians have a tendency to say, where's your faith? To not to want to cry and do all these other things. You don't believe in God. Oh, yes, I do. I do, and I do not. And I keep thinking back sometime when Jesus' friend Lazarus died, he wept. He cried over that. Those emotions are real. That has nothing to do with my faith, my spirituality. Emotions are built inside of me that's so deep sometimes. You can't suppress them. And my spirituality is still the same. I still love God. I still know who he is. I still know that loved one is going home to be with him. That's my belief. I believe they got there.
Right.
I don't have any proof on this side, but I believe they made it in. So based on those, my spirituality is intact. It's just those emotions that I don't always have control over are not intact right now. Yeah. And I just don't know what to do with them. So since you can't control them, let them have their way. Just be kind to yourself, and because you can't handle them. You can't handle them by yourself anyway. You got to trust God to do what he's doing and trust in him. Learn how to rest in his arms when you're feeling sad and down, knowing that he got you. And when your spirit is strong and intact, you can almost feel his arms wrapped around you when you're in his loving care. It's just that real. I know I do. When I completely surrender to him, I can just feel his arms sometimes just wrap around me and saying it's okay. You know, I mean, I hear the word, but just the fact that I feel his embrace is letting me know that it's okay to feel the way I feel. And we just have to release that pain that we feel and go through those emotions that we're trying to keep away from us.
Everybody. Okay. I'm sorry. I was just going to say, when you were saying, give some examples that how we can relieve ourselves of some pain. What is some examples of what can a person do to relieve themselves of some pain?
Sometimes, I think Corrine touched on it a little bit. Find somebody you can talk to and trust. Even when you're happy, you talk about your happiness, right? There's somebody you can talk about and share that joy, happiness with. And the same thing when you're going through pain and trouble and turmoil. You got to have somebody, you know, in your corner that you can talk to and reach those emotions that you're feeling and know that they understand and know that they don't mind listening to you. And when we start doing all of these things, find some support too. I like what she said, find a support group. Because sometimes you just need to go someplace that no one else know you so you can talk about what you're feeling. You know, that's like Alcoholics Anonymous. They started that group when you're trying to get sober. You go there, you talk about what you're experiencing and what happens when you get ready to take a drink and how you have to fight that. And sometimes you can reach out and call somebody and they'll talk you through it. That support group or that support person can do the same thing that they're doing for the ones that have a problem with drinking. Your grief is a problem for you right now.
So in other words, we need to find a positive way of getting a solution to our pain. Instead of sitting in it, we need to be more active in seeking out maybe friendship, maybe a fellowship somewhere, or some type of activity that we might need to find find to do, or revisit some of the things that you probably let go because of different life challenging experience, stuff that you probably like when you was younger, or something that you used to engage in, but your life, you know, was molded around your family and you kind of lost sight of it. So really it's an opportunity to go back and revisit, and that may be something to help process through it. And I remember, and I'm gonna let Sister Corrine speak because she looked like she want to say something, but like she was speaking on when she went to talk to Bishop. Her experience was he was encouraging her to get back into music because that was something that she used to do, but you know, life exchanges kind of take you away from your passion or things that you used to really enjoy doing. So really it's an opportunity to find something, you know, of that sort that will ignite that energy in you to move forward, and you won't be pondering on what's happening to you.
So
Yeah,
true.
I was just gonna say that that is something that can help the music. Another thing that I like to do, because I'm not there yet with the crying and the all. I'm not there with the emotions and everything. It may take me a little more time, even though it's been 2015. You know, when my son passed, my three grands, all of them, of course, at one time, and it's been since 2015, March 2015, a month I never forget. Try not to remember it. Don't remember the date. Don't want anybody to tell me the date. But I'm still not there yet. That's just the way I'm dealing with it right now. But the thing I like to do is I like to laugh. So I don't think about what happened. I don't think about him, the babies. I find stuff all the time that I can laugh about, whether I'm reading, whether, of course, you know, my background, Christian background, spending time with the Lord, of course, that's, you know, bar none, that's hands down. But outside of that, I find something that I read or watch TV, and I keep myself laughing, find myself laughing at things that change my inside, sort of changing my outside. That's what I like to do. And that helps me. It helps me a lot to keep me out of the depressive mode. One day I'll be able to look at stuff, you know, that's just me, you know, everybody's different, but one day I'll be able to look at the pictures, listen to music, all that stuff. But I just like to laugh. I think that's a good mechanism, coping mechanism that could help some people who like comedy, you know, and that's just, you know, some of the things that I like. But I think that could help as well. And the Bible talks about, you know, laughter, you know, as medicine.
Medicine, yeah.
It's like a medicine. So right. I think that's a good dose of medicine to take when you find something that you really can intake and laugh about.
I totally agree with that.
Yes.
And that really keep, like you say, it really keep us moving. It'll give you encouragement to move. If we can just tap into that, because most definitely can y'all identify as initially, did you have that courage or feeling to do it, or you had to force yourself to do it?
To what? To laugh?
Yes.
To whatever mechanism you use?
Yes.
It just came. It just came.
And that goes to show, you know, everybody is different. Everybody handle, because even just sitting here on the panel, each one of us handle it different. Like Sister Corrine says, like laughter for her. And Sister Rosa, you have your own way of handling it. And then like for me, traveling was the thing for me until, you know, when we enter into the COVID. So when we enter into that had brought another whole different avenue. So I had to find activities and things I could do locally. And then at one point, you know, especially when we were shut in for some weeks when it initially started. So it was like we could go to work and come straight back home when they had that curfew. So you have to be creative if you have someone in the home with you or someone you can connect to and talk to, you know, to keep you going. so it won't sit and ponder. Because I find myself, and maybe y'all can even speak on that, find yourself, if you're in a quiet place, you find yourself drifting on back to, like the initial pain of when you first experienced the loss. Have y'all ever experienced that?
I have. I mean, there's time I have gone past a place that I've been with my loved one before, and immediately they pop in my mind. Or I could smell banana pudding, the old-fashioned way, where they put it in the oven and bake it with the homemade custard, everything.
Yeah.
And I don't make it that way anymore. Just go to someone's house that make it in that manner. I think about mom, because that's the way she made it all the time. She didn't use the box custard. She made it from scratch, and she threw everything in the oven and baked it. And it came out hot. Ours now today it come out cold. But things like that. And I was just thinking that a lot of times I think we have misconception what grief and mourning really is. Grief is when we keep everything inside, those emotions that we feel. And the mourning process, when we let it out, it's outside and open view. People see what we're doing. So we have to realize that so many, and even now, I'm not crying and I'm not sad, but there's still some emotions of grief within me when I think about certain people. You don't see it, but the grief is there. And a lot of times you don't see a person grief because it's inside of them. But when they start releasing it, what you see it coming out of them in a mourning process where they're crying or might just doing something that they remember about the person. Or like I like to bake when I start thinking about my mom, because she loved to bake cakes and pies and stuff. So I get in my kitchen, I start baking and bring back happy memories of her, what she used to do all the time. And that's what I dwell on, mostly trying to find things that make me remember happy thoughts. Mm-hmm. Not so much thinking about the fact that she has passed and gone, but some of the things she did with me that made me happy. And I think sometimes that's the best medicine. But for some reason, we don't want to think about those things. We want to shy away from them. But those are things that are going to help us heal as well. If I think about just the fact that on a certain date, she left this world and went home, I'm going to be sad. Mm-hmm. But I think of the time when she was with her great granddaughter and how she smiled and was so happy playing with her. When I think about those things, I'm happy. And like you said, I can laugh. So I think about some of the things you should do with her, and it was funny and comical. So I find myself laughing. So there's no sadness, but joy. And our greatest fear for some reason is to think about the things that brought us joy. Thinking they're going to make us sad, but they don't. If you think about the good time and the time that you had with them that brought laughter, you're going to laugh about what they used to do. The jokes they used to tell, those pants that they used to wear. Ooh, they know they was too short on them, but they loved to wear those pants or those shoes that was worn out, but they still want to wear them anyway, because that's what they like doing, So those type of things, we can concentrate on those a lot more than we do. It will bring about laughter to us and some healing also. Sister Corrine, you may never cry, because everybody's not going to cry.
Yeah, everybody.
But you have found a way to laugh. She has found a way to laugh. And I hope you find a way to remember the happy things that you all did together, the grandkids and your son and the future daughter-in-law that was going to be your daughter-in-law. I'm going to call her daughter-in-law. If you can think about the things that they did that brought joy to you, you'll find some more happiness as well. Because ain't nothing wrong with being happy. I tell a friend all the time, there was a minister that passed away. We were really good friends. She was a little younger than me, but I remember being at the funeral service and a feeling of jealousy came over me because she was gone. And I'm thinking, well, okay, what's wrong with me? Why am I being jealous? And I got home and I started thinking about it, and I said, she's gonna get to see God before I do. And I was feeling jealous about that. So there's a lot of emotions that we feel and sense sometimes, and it seems crazy to us, but they're real and they're there. I love her dearly, and a lot of time when I think about it now, those jealousy, that jealous feeling comes back up again. What's she doing? She probably up there dancing and singing with God, But it's just a real emotion, and I'm not crazy, y'all. I tell you, I'm not crazy. It just that thought comes to me when I think about her. For some reason, it always comes up, and I'm glad about it, because when I think that thought, I'm not sad about her.
Right.
I can't wait until I get to be dancing with God and singing with him and being in his presence. So those thoughts come about. Okay, I said, okay, got before I did, but I'm coming. Things like that. But life is real, and we have to admit that grief that we feel is just like the joy we feel. Just at two different levels. Sometimes you try to hold joy back because you think you're too happy. But you aren't.
We have to learn not to allow people to dictate to us how we need to express.
Yes.
And I know I had those challenges, and I had to have those conversations with certain ones.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always kind of like being a strong-willed person, but not everyone is like me. No. When they try to dictate how I'm supposed to be. Some people put you in a box and want you to be sad for the rest of your life. You experience some that may want you to, they'll tell you you need to move on with life. But we have to move according to what we can do at that time. We can't move based on what other people want us to do. Exactly. I don't know if y'all have experienced that, going through your transition, but I'm sure others probably had experienced that.
Yeah, I had somebody tell me, oh, you finally stop. What did they say? You finally got over it. And I think that particular person really didn't understand
right
what the grieving, the mourning, none of the process. Evidently they probably hadn't had anybody that they actually were close to that passed, because I actually when my grands, that was like my heart just went out the window. So, my parents passed, it was different. But when they passed, it was a totally different thing. So, I was thinking when Sister Rose was talking, and I was thinking about the memories, trying to think of some of the memories and some of the things that went on with me and still go on with me. And the reason why sometimes I don't think about it, sometimes I do, and I do cry sometimes. I just don't get wild and crazy, but the tears do fall sometimes. But sometimes what happens is the mind is, the devil will try to play different things in your mind, like what happened, it was your fault, or you should have did this, or and sometimes you have to cut those thoughts off.
Yes.
And try to turn them around, because the word of God says, resist the devil and he will flee. He got to go.
Yeah.
Right. No other alternative for him. He got to flee. So he'll try to play in your mind. So when I start thinking about him, sometimes I have to cut it off until I get to the point whereas I can have some enjoyable memories, because I think about how I used to love to laugh. And maybe that's why I like to laugh now, because I like to laugh before, because we laughed a whole lot. And he was just lovable and loved life. So that's probably one of the reasons why I like to laugh a lot. But when the enemy start to putting things in your mind about it, and that's when I shut it down and I say, okay, on to the next thing, and I can come back to it later. Not sure if that's the proper way to do it, and there's not a proper way, but that's just the way I deal with it. And hopefully, and probably someone else going through the same thing as well. And y'all can comment and on that as well.
I was gonna say on that note, I don't think it's no process as far as how we each individual handle a certain situation. It's based on our makeup, our relationship with God, and even that's difficult when you even connect it spiritually. But it's not like a 1, 2, 3 step on how we're gonna handle it, because we all have different emotions, different perspective, and either even if we want to put faith in it, even different levels of faith on how we're going to process it through faith. Sometimes you might start off weak and start strong. You might start strong and end weak, but it is a process that each and every one go through, but it's not like a written manual to say this and that gonna work for you. Because even when you look at the different when you look at Abraham, when you look at Job, when you look at Naomi, when you look at them and Jesus, every one of them handle it differently.
Yeah.
None of them had a 1, 2, 3 point that this is how we're going to follow it. Each one from a different spiritual level, makeup of their character, of their being, each one of them handle it different.
I'm just glad that we are handling it and walking through it, because we were not, we mean that we have become stagnant. And once you become stagnant, you can die from grief. It can kill you because you aren't dealing with it properly, and you become stagnant. You aren't moving on in your life. You're standing still, and it will kill you. You see people that have developed high blood pressure and their stress level go up. They cause all this physical harm to their body, and it can kill them. That's why a lot of times you see couples that have been married for so long, and one of them died in less than a month or 2 months, the other one gone, because they weren't able to deal with the loss. They didn't get to the point they was moving on in their life. And so it's very important that we at least make an attempt to walk through it. There's no easy way, there's no right way, no wrong way. Your way is your way. Right. And I learned to shut my ears to those outside of me, because they don't know what I'm feeling. They don't know what we're feeling. And for them to try to give me some advice as to how to walk through my emotion, my pain, they can't help me in that area, because I don't know how yet myself. I'm just walking through it by the grace of God. And that's the only person I can trust on, rely on to direct me in the right way to do it. Because my way may not be your way. Amen. She said she cries sometimes, and that's good because she's working through it. Some people just bellow, just cry, 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 cry. And some people go around kicking stuff. I can remember people was in church before, seeing them kick things around. I remember some just screaming at the coffin because they're angry, and they're just yelling at their emotion in that manner. So it's your way, and just make sure you know it's your way. Right. And don't let someone else influence you to do it their way. And they might even do it that way if something happened to them. They may find a different way to do it themselves. They're just telling you what they think you should do. They haven't experienced your grief, not going through your grief. They're going through their own, but not yours. And no matter what people say, the way you deal with it is your way, and it has to be your way in order for you to heal. And I know people mean to help sometimes. I get so frustrated when I hear another woman tell another woman that has just lost a child, baby, it's all right. You're going to have another one. Mm-hmm. Maybe I will, but this is the one I'm mourning for right now. This is the one that's gone. What about this one? But you're going to come to me and tell me, baby, you have another child. My mind is far away from that. And I may not ever have another child because maybe I don't want to, or maybe because I can't have another one. But the one I've lost is what I need, and I know that person, that woman, or that has lost a child, their pain is unbearable. It's more than they can bear. but they will get through it. We have to watch the words we use to console, make sure they're words that can hurt, help, and not offend. And most of do more offending than we do helping, because we come to them in the wrong manner. I mean, it's just a lot involved in it when we trying to get through. And I never try to tell Sandra how to get over her loss. I never thought I would grieve over divorce, but I did. Because when I got married, I did not intend to be divorced. I thought it would be forever, for a lifetime. We're going to get old and part company that way in old age. But it didn't work out that way. And for a long time, I had to deal with my grief inside that I found myself suppressing. Because I didn't want to cry over that loss. I didn't want to look at that loss and see it in a different respect. I didn't want to look at the fact maybe I caused some of the problems. Maybe I caused some of the issues, because it's a two-party thing. You know, both you make it right or both you can make it wrong. But so I had to look at myself to what did I not do that I should have done? What boundaries I should have set that I did not set? Because in going to a relationship, you need to set some boundary as to what you will endure, what you won't endure. And sometimes because we don't set those boundaries, even with our emotions, we can't release the way we need to or the way we should. Mm. But I take my hats up to you, because y'all working through that grief that you have been feeling, and you go into that mourning stage of your life where you let it out now, and that's going to help both of you a lot.
I just want to ask a question. Well, if somebody made a comment, had a question, and they were saying, does the spiritual maturity ever come at some point in time after losing someone to death?
You're going to answer that?
I'm thinking spiritual maturity is an ongoing process. You're not spiritually mature, not even when you leave this world, because it's a daily process of growing in the Lord. At least that's how I feel about spiritual maturity. Where I am today, I wasn't there yesterday. So it's a process that I go through every day, reach maturity spiritually. So my answer to that will have to be no.
You never reached that point. You never reached that point. You are right to progress. Yeah.
Continue to progress
until you go home.
Yes. We progress now in our spirituality as we talk and understand things about this different topic like grief. We mature in that area now, which is a spiritual level to understand the way God is giving it to us. So there's a constant growth process.
Well, for me, when it comes to spiritual maturity, from speaking from my experiences with spiritual maturity is when I first experienced when I lost my parents, I didn't handle it that well, and I was a little more spiritually immature. But as sitting up under the word and growing in the word, when I experienced loss this time, I could say from my experience, I had some maturity from my past experience. And when I experienced this, I leaned it more closely to God and still leaning on him to get me through. So I think the spiritual maturity comes because in that phase, because you trust, you lean more in God, and the more you start trusting and having that relationship, you become more developed in him. And so when you're developing, to me, you are maturing.
So it's safe to say in some areas.
Yeah, let's say that I understand what she's saying. From the first time to the second time, she felt some growth. Not maturity yet. You haven't completely matured yet, but you had some growth in your spirituality that helped you handle it better. but you haven't reached the point yet where you completely mature, because someone else may leave you now. It may knock you for a loop. It may attack you in an entirely different way than the second one did. But that does not mean your spirituality isn't still strong.
But I think it will take you to a different level. Each one is going to impact you differently, but it's going to take you a different level if you remain in position with the way of God. You'll be able to grow. I'm not going to say that you coming fully mature, okay, but you are maturing, you are developing, you're going through stages of growth. So maturity,
but only because of your experiences in the grief area, you have grown in that area spiritually. And I agree with you. You haven't fully become fully mature, spiritually mature, but you're growing in that area. Each time someone depart from us, we move to a different plateau where we understand grief even more. Each time take it to a different level.
Yeah, exactly. And it goes back to that scripture when you go into the different level where that scripture said, when I was a child, I thought as a child. Right. When I became grown, I'm just paraphrasing. When I became grown, I thought like a man, I act like a man, as a mature person.
Put away those things,
Yeah, so I think, it's development, and you mature each experience. That's like faith to faith.
Yeah.
Each experience we have might hit us like a ton of bricks, but each time when we put our right perspective and stay in alignment with the word of God, your faith is growing, is maturing, and then as it matures, you're able to face harder challenges. As they say, new level, new devil. So that's where your development come in.
It is with Corrine, so she had been having a problem with crying, but when this attacked her again, because she understands the importance of crying and how it helped her, she maybe it would be easier for her to cry and not suppress those tears as much. And for someone that's angry, it's going to be easier for them to let that anger out, because they understand that letting it out is going to help them deal with the grief even better. So it's just a matter of the process you're going through and what you learn through each step you go through, as far as losing someone, this person this year, someone else next year. And each one that you lose, there's a period of growth and things you understand even better as to how what you did affected you. If you suppress crying and it caused you to have a nervous breakdown, you're going to do your best not to stop tears from flowing next time. You're going to try to cry. If you was mad at God that last time and you realize that wasn't God's fault, he didn't do it, you're going to fall close, you're going to become even close to God and rest in his bosom, because you know that he's going to get you through what you're going through right now. So each phase of grief is going to take you to a different level of growth. I'm not going to say maturity, because I don't think you can possibly mature in grief, because each time you lose someone, it's going to affect you in a different way. That's my thoughts on it.
I guess I'm thinking, so this time with my anger, I know how to deal with it. I'm progressing in that area. Okay. Yes. I hadn't matured, but I'm progressing. And then next time it may be an area where I'm crying all the time. Okay, I know how to deal with that crying now. So I'm growing through that process as well. And then maybe an anxiety or something else, another area.
Right.
So each area each phase of grief that you're going through, you're learning how to deal and handle. So it's not so much as the entire grief process itself, it's a different phase of each process, because there are
Yeah.
different phases. So different phases would say you reach maturity, but you are better able to, you've progressed and you've grown in that area.
Right.
So basically that's what you're saying.
Yes. Learn how to handle those areas.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, good. I like talking to you ladies.
And one of the things that you spoke on too, concerning setting boundaries, especially, you know, the upcoming, well, the holidays, and even when it's not holidays. And I just wanted to throw out some points of coping and setting boundaries. And it first you got begin with yourself, being honest with people to people, and let them know what you are capable of doing or not able to do at the time.
Yes.
And what's reasonable for you at the time. And also, you need to set a time limit. If you know, try to be as active, but if you feel like you cannot do a whole lot at that particular time, or to an invite or something that your family is trying to engage, try to at least set a time limit and give yourself some time and feel free, and let them know, well, I'm gonna try it, but I might have to leave. And so they won't have no other expectation, and you just setting your boundaries and let them know what you you know, willing or able to do at that time. And also, if it's not too much for you to give yourself permission not to go, it's okay. If you get an invite and that's a time that you not able to go, then don't go. It's okay. It's gonna be other opportunity. So don't allow anybody to force you into doing something that you're not okay with. And don't let grief take from you more than it already has. In other words, when we go through those exchanges, don't allow it to just snatch your life and sit in it. Try your best to be active and move forward as much as possible. And you know, we just have to make some make some changes, and not let our feelings dictate. And you know, like I repeatedly say our emotions a lot of time tell us we don't want to do it, I don't feel like doing it, but we have to learn to intentionally set those goals, set your boundaries, and intentionally move forward. Because what you might wish that was there is have changed. It's a lifetime change. And it's not going to be the same. It's just your whole life is different. So it's coming, and it's important for us to come into acceptance of what we are going through. And so our time is, we're getting close to our time this evening. So if y'all have a brief comment you would like to give, you can go ahead on and do it. And we want to be able to close out in a timely manner.
Just one thing, like do a lot of time at holiday time, we start making comparison of this family is happy and I don't have that happiness anymore. Stop making comparison. What you need is to start trying to do, just be grateful for what you do have, other than comparing to what you don't have, because life, you have life. And there's so much beauty in just having life alone, because others that seem to be happy may not be happy at all. Could be an outward appearance, but you have true happiness within you because you know who God is. And we need to stop comparing. Just be happy.
Amen.
Okay. the thing I always say is take one day at a time, but I also want to say about an idle mind. Find something to do that you like to do. Not necessarily work, because everybody don't like their jobs, but once you finish your job, you know, you find something that you like to do that's gonna enrich your spirit, that's gonna really help you to grow and develop in other areas that you like. For instance, if you like the music arena, you've done that when you were younger, or you do it now. Make yourself better, you know, get better in it if that's something you like to do. If you like to sew, some of the things that really take you down and to occupy your mind, so you don't sit there with the idle mind thinking, man, if they were here, you know, but you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that, which is part of the healing process. Keep your mind occupied with those loving and kind things, and think on the things of the Lord, you know, the just, the pure, the lovely, the honest, you know, the good report, all those things. But the main thing I always tell everybody, you know, one day at a time. Don't try to get through all of it at one time. Not going to happen. The day tomorrow, not going to happen. But you can take the day that's now, one day at a time, because God makes all things beautiful in His time.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen.
And I just want to add to that as well, to both what both of you all said. Just take us, like Sister Corrine said, take one day at a time. Go back into the things that you used to love to do, and just engage yourself in something that you really enjoy doing, or used to enjoy doing, and just make this necessary steps, rather than just be one step at a time. Just make some type of movement. And I just want to say to you all out there, be encouraged. God doesn't put nothing on us that we cannot bear, and He's always with us, and He will carry us through. So with that being said, I want to thank each and every one for tuning in tonight for our segment of life and grief, life after grief and loss. And we also want you to feel free tonight to even leave your comments or questions, and we will try our best to get back to each comment or question on our next segment. And you are free to sow into our ministry. You may log on to www.fbjm.org, and you may be able to sow seed into our ministry. Or if you have any desire, you can sow into our bishop, Finest Bush Jr. His cash app is Finest Bush Jr. So you can have that opportunity to sow into our ministry. And we are looking forward to seeing you on Sunday mornings. We have Sunday morning service at 10 a.m. Of course, you can come with your mask. We will be taking temperatures. So you are invited to be there to service, or you are invited to be on Facebook services on Sunday as well. And this will conclude our message for tonight, a life after grief and loss ministry. And each and every one be blessed out there. And thanks again. Looking forward to seeing you on the second Thursday. God bless you all.
Amen.